It's Aloha Friday, no work till Monday.
Welcome everyone to this week's episode of Unrooted Men's Basketball Edition. And my guest for the first ever episode is none other than the head coach of Menlo College Men's Basketball, Kaniela Aiona. Kaniela, thanks so much for joining me on the show.
Brian, thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Let's start by getting to know you a little bit better. You are a native of Hawaii, and Menlo last year hosted its first ever tournament on the Big Island of Hawaii, the Big Island Classic, very appropriately named. What was that experience like for you?
Well, that was an amazing experience, Brian. First time taking a team out there to Hawaii for me. First time being out there either as a player or as a coach. So it was a special experience for me, and I think I can speak for all the guys, and that they had a great time, great experience.
And for all the staff that went as well. I had never been out to Hawaii before, so that was a pretty special time getting out there too.
Yeah, for sure. It was great to have everybody out there. Great support from our administration and Mr. Spataro in getting all the people out there that we needed to run a quality event.
And Menlo won a couple of games there too.
So that
doesn't hurt at all.
Got a buzzer beater in there. Yeah, that was good. Ben Graham hit a little end of game buzzer beater against Benedictine, which is old stomping grounds. Coached there at Benedictine as an assistant with Keith Bunkenberg, and our very own Jameson Montgomery obviously played there at Benedictine. So another level of special on that win. Yeah,
and I was just about to ask about that. When you were a coach, you saw Jameson play. Who was a better player, you or him?
Well, I'm going to go with the stock generic answer. Different era. Different players, different position, all that stuff. But I will say this: every time we tell the story, about our playing days, we just get better and better and better. So, by now it's hard to tell who could do more and who was a better player back in the day.
Now, in addition to your coaching, you've been involved in recruiting, scouting, and player development for different organizations, Club Hoops and Attach Athletics. How did those help develop you as a coach?
Sure. No, great question. As far as Club Hoops, I worked for Jim Klibanoff there. He's based out of Philadelphia, and I was a regional scout in the Chicago area. It was all about evaluating players and our service that we had there was subscribed to by many of the NBA franchises and international franchises in basketball, and you really had to dive deep into the player evaluation and what made them tick, and projecting how players are going to be over time, how they're going to develop, and being able to compare them to other players, that type of thing. So I think that's definitely helped me in just giving me another lens to look at recruiting, to look at player evaluation, that I bring here to Menlo. And then as far as working at Attack Athletics, that was Tim Grover's enterprise, and getting a chance to work with Tim was unbelievable. He is he's world renowned as a basketball player development guy. He's been doing it for a long time, since before it was in vogue to be a workout guy or that kind of thing, and just learning a lot of the little tips and tricks of the trade with that, and working at Attack was like Disneyland for basketball coaches. Every single day you had some unbelievable pro prospect coming into the gym, and you get a chance to work them out, and it was definitely a great experience, something that that I'll remember for a long time.
Let's talk about your current Menlo team a little bit. 2017 marks the first time since 2005 that Menlo won a season opener. So it's been a long time, and you guys followed it up with a 5-0 start, something that hasn't happened in this program since the 1980s. What's the key to starting years so successful?
Okay, don't tell our players that. I think one thing with this group is there's some continuity. This is our this is my third year here. Our staff's all returning from last year. Coach Montgomery, Coach Fuji, Coach Mooney. Players returning that have been here a few years. So I think the continuity helps. They know what to expect. The returners kind of know the drill. And even though we got some young guys playing significant minutes for us, when there's continuity in a culture there already, they step into that and are able to adjust pretty well. So I think that's a big part of it.
A drastic change from this year's team to last year's has been the shooting ability, or at least the early season shooting success. In the past, it's kind of been a grinded out style, defense is going to win games. This year, you guys are shooting 50% in almost every single contest except for the one game that you lost. Is this a change in philosophy?
Yeah, I don't want to jinx us right now. The guys have been shooting it well and shooting it with confidence, and we got to continue to do so if we want to continue to win games and see some success. I wouldn't say as much a change in philosophy. Definitely different personnel, though. We've been, we usually have 3 or 4, at least the past couple of years, we have 3 or 4 big monsters in the middle that you gotta, you don't want to get going too fast because you want to get them involved in the game. We're a little smaller. We're playing a little bit more, I don't call it small ball right now, but we're playing a little faster, and I think that leads to more open looks, jump shots, and really layups. Our defense has been our best offense this year, getting us out in transition and getting us a lot more layups than we've been able to get in the past. So not as much a philosophical change, more of a just kind of fitting what we're doing and how we're playing to our personnel.
I've mentioned this on the air a lot last season and so far again here this year. The young guns leading the way offensively. Guys like John Payne, Jeremiah Testa, Jared Wall, and this year you throw in Charles Neal to the mix. What's it like having a team where some of the biggest impact players are the underclassmen?
Well, I think, first of all, it's a lot of fun because you don't know necessarily what you're going to get. Every once in a while they surprise you, good and bad. But the number one struggle to me with a young team is consistency, and that's where you'll see our struggles right now. Maybe a slow start or a slow start to a game, or coming out of halftime not ready, or those kind of things can be. There's some consistency issues there. But the flip side of it is, like I said, sometimes they can really surprise you and get out and get the team going. So it's been a lot of fun coaching those guys. They're doing a good job. You just got to keep growing, doing what they're doing, and there's a lot of potential with this program, and also got to give a lot of credit to our juniors and seniors. They're seeing guys that are playing a lot of minutes as young guys, and they've been really supportive of them, and they've been team first attitude and mentality, and without that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you play. It doesn't matter how well things are how things are going for the young guys. If the returners aren't all about team first and winning first, it doesn't work. And they've been phenomenal with that. And I'm just as proud of our returners who are playing a little less and maybe getting a little less of the shine and a little less of the recognition. I'm just as proud of them as I am of the young guys who are getting to score a lot of points right now.
Now, one of the veterans that you talked about is Eric Friendland, and he's really settled into the role of the primary big on this team. He's been getting all the starts. Were you concerned about the lack of depth at that position to begin the year?
Yeah, I think, it's always nice to have a 6'10", 6'11" guy there in the middle. It's a great thing. When you got one of them, you're always going to be a little worried, Eric's done a great job. He's really grown and improved his skill set and abilities here over the last couple of years, and I'm really proud of how he's matured thus far. I think he's got a whole nother level to get to, and I am excited to see if he gets to that, because if he does, he could be a real force. He's kind of scratching the surface right now, okay, and but if he gets that next level, I'd be really excited to see how that goes.
He'd fit right in with the GSAC. Yeah, you got some
absolutely.
Tough bigs in the conference.
Yeah, there's some great bigs in the conference, absolutely.
Now, the Bud Presley Classic takes place the 2 days following Thanksgiving. Southern Oregon and Northwest Christian will be coming in. They will be your opponents in the tournament. What are some keys to tournament play when you're having to play in consecutive days?
Sure. Schedule teams that you can beat. That's
Okay.
the first thing, which we didn't do a good job of this year. We're bringing in a couple really good teams. Southern Oregon, phenomenal program in the national tournament year in, year out, basically. Coach McDermott, great job there. And then Northwest Christian, Luke Jackson, the coach there, he's turned that program into a dominant, team here in NAI the last few years. So it's not going to be easy. I think a couple things, first things first, you've got to focus on the first game. You don't focus on the tournament and the 2 games and all that. The players only know the game that's right there in front of them. We prepare for that team and that team only. And then as soon as that game's over, you turn the page and you're on to the next one. We got a great sports medicine staff here who takes care of our guys to keep them rested and healthy and well. So there'll be ice baths and treatments and all of that stuff, aplenty during that time to make sure they're ready for that back-to-back. But the back-to-back is tough. And I mentioned earlier, consistency with a young team, maturity. Like you see, for instance, this last weekend, we played phenomenal on Friday night, and then Saturday night just kind of couldn't get it going. And you got to give credit to Simpson University. They played a fantastic game on Saturday. At the same time, I think we were a little tired there, a little inconsistent. Maybe expecting things to happen for us and not making them happen like we did the previous night. So there's some maturity and consistency things that you got to address when you're playing a tournament style format, back-to-back games. But it's great for us.
All 4 games of the Bud Presley Classic will be broadcast live on the Menlo College Sports Network, FYI. All right, Kaniela, let's get into the final segment of the show. It's called Brownie Bites. I'm going to ask you 3 random questions. Give me your best
Do we get brownies
answer.
here? Is there?
It's only happened one
things?
time, actually. The cafeteria served Brownie Bites when I did a Kenzie Carpenter interview. So I brought in Brownie Bites to the interview and ate them while asking the questions.
Okay.
But unfortunately,
maybe next time?
Well, we got to get the cafeteria in on this.
Sure.
All right, question number 1. Which athlete would be most likely to get hit in the head by a coconut?
Oh, gosh. I'm going to go with either of the freshmen, either Charles Neal or Najai LeBlanc. I just, freshmen, maybe a little behind on what's going on at times. So I'd say maybe less awareness there.
Yeah.
So maybe one of those guys. And then if not, you go with the tall guy, Eric Fredlin, closest to the tree,
Yeah.
maybe. He might be the one to take one. Yeah.
Question number 2. Is there an athlete that could beat that Jameson Montgomery could beat in a 3-point shooting contest?
I'm sure there is.
Who?
I got to say who?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. I thought, he could probably beat somebody. Let's see. Maybe he could take one of the bigs. I don't know. Eric's been shooting. Eric's actually,
I've heard he's been working on his stroke. Yeah.
It'll surprise you when he steps out there. I'll have to get back to you on now. I'm gonna have to go confer with Coach Montgomery and see who he thinks he could take. I'm sure he thinks he could take any of them and shoot a 3.
I bet, and that's what he would say on the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
He would.
So, yeah.
All right, question number 3. Which athlete would look the worst in a floral shirt? Now, I know you guys do a lot of Aloha Friday stuff. We've done it before for Menlo Athletics. We did it at the tournament. Who would look bad?
There's really one guy that you see, and you'll occasionally see him walking around campus in an Aloha shirt, and so I got to give him credit for trying. But Jared Wall, he's got the red hair, the real, got that light complexion. Sometimes he's got the really, colorful Aloha shirt. It doesn't always go. But as I said, you got to give him credit. He'll rock that thing like nobody else on the team will. So you got to give him credit for the confidence. And I appreciate it. It makes me smile every time I see him in that thing.
My favorite with Jared Wall is when he will wear the Andy Dalton jersey.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
I've seen it.
Looks like a look-alike.
Yeah. That's always an interesting one. So they definitely could be related. Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they are, to be honest with
you. He's a fiery guy,
Yeah.
So you never know.
Kaniela, thanks so much for joining me on the show. I appreciate
thank you,
it.
Brian. I appreciate you.
You're
Do
welcome.
a great job as always.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And folks, The men's basketball team is at home. They will be at home for the remainder of the month of November. Saturday, they will be taking on UC Merced. That's the 18th. 7:30 is tip-off, and then the next week is the Bud Presley Classic right here at Menlo College. Games on Friday, Black Friday, and Saturday, Small Business Saturday, immediately following Thanksgiving. Both Menlo games will be at 4 o'clock. We invite you to tune into the next episode of Unrooted Men's Basketball Edition when head coach Kaniela Aiona will select the first player to be interviewed by me, Brian Brownfield, right here on the show. Until then, we'll see you next time. Take care, everybody.
Go Oaks.
It's Aloha Friday.